In the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. We begin with the front pages of the papers, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with DSS men, prison officials in free for all over Emefiele. The writer says a court grants Emefiele 20 million naira bail. DSS will arrest him. Prison arms squad commander manhandled, uniform torn. Falana, others react. DSS NPS scuffle over Emefiele, unmitigated shame. That's coming from Huriwa. Respect court order on Emefiele sacking Hausawa Northern Forum tells DSS. We can see a photo story showing the DSS prison service fight for Emefiele as well as the scuffle. We have stories above. Drama as FCC commissioner accuses chairman of employment racketeering. You can see that on page 9. Federal government asks suit. Court affirms Konwa and NAMDA registration as trade unions. Tinubu to send ministerial list to us in 48 hours, and that's coming from the Senate. You can see that on page 3. Still on page 3, National Assembly moves against electricity tariff hike, estimated billings, and lastly on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, CBN intensifies anti-inflation effort, raises MPR to 18.75%. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with CBN on new route to inflation control, raises interest on banks' deposits. We can also see a photo story showing the DSS clash with NCOS. We arrest Emefiele despite bail. 15,000 IVF babies delivered in 130 Nigerian clinics since 1989. And you can read more on page 4. On page 5, fruit ripening with chemical partly responsible for untimely death, NAFDAC warns. And lastly, on the front page of The Guardian, Senate defers ministerial list till Thursday, urges discourse to allow Nigerians breathe. Moving on to The Nation newspaper, The Nation is leading with ministers, Tinubu Mal's son, ex-governors, technocrats, others. Rider says a Senate leader, president's list ready tomorrow. Emefiele rearrested in court after interagency brawl. Stories above, article PDP confused, president tells a tribunal. NEC discos fine-tune tariff hike. Rider says a senator rep oppose move. Federal government will redirect $800 million palliative cash. You can see that on page 29. And lastly, on the front page of The Nation, we have ASU loses bid to stop Konoa's registration. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with Nigerians demand reforms as Tinubu submits a ministerial list. Rider says technocrats said to dominate list. Tinubu sought prayers to make right choice, and that's coming from Senate leader. NBA tax appointees on security. APC elders fume over Jonathan's moves to pick Bielsa candidates. Emefiele lawyer condemned DSS. Warders clash as family protests rearrest. Resident doctors begin indefinite strike today. You can see that on page 12. Lagos Okada riders accuse policemen of extortion. Adamu Mishore met Tinubu for reconciliation, and that's coming from APC chieftain. Stories above, threats to Kogi, Bielsa, Imo polls disturbing, and that's coming from INEC. On page 8, this goes to return $1.2 billion for 374 projects, says NDPHC. Lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, CBN vows to tackle forex pressure, raises lending rates. You can read that on page 17, and that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. And if you're just joining me, still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Benro Lajigbe, Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Good morning, sir. It's good to have you join me this morning.
It's a pleasure being with you.
All right, let's delve in. I mean, I would like to ask what's your take on the show of shame orchestrated by the DSS operatives and officials of the Nigerian Correctional Services on who should take custody of former CBN boss Emefiele.
Well, it's very sad that we have to face this as a nation. A nation under democracy should not have institution of government. I mean, within the justice administration system behaving like this. What happened yesterday was a terrible thing, a very annoying show of shame by DSS. When the judge ruled that Emefiele had been admitted onto bail, there was a specific decision by the judge to hand him over to the correctional centers. So it wasn't, and Emefiele was granted bail. It was granted bail with conditions. Those conditions have not even been met. That is to say, Emefiele's custody should be with the correctional centers. Even if there is anything that DSS still has against Emefiele, it should have waited so that his bail will be perfected, and then he could be rearrested when the court judgment has been obeyed. What actually happened yesterday was DSS sitting as an appellate court, overruling the judgment of the High Court. That is what happened today. That was an extreme high point of lawlessness that took place yesterday. Very shameful for an institution that behaves like that in democracy, and very shameful for the country that accepts such behavior and conduct from any of its institutions, irrespective of the name that is being called. This is an indictment of rule of law and an indictment of the practice of democracy and indictment of constitutionalism. That is what happened yesterday. It breached all codes of decency, all codes of constitutional requirement, all codes of justice administration in the country. So it's appalling what we are dealing with, and somebody should be held accountable, punished. More so when the president was coming in, he said that he will respect rule of law. Is this how to respect rule of law? So the ball is on the table of the president. DSS must be sanctioned, particularly those personnel. And this is not the first time this will be happening. At the premises, at the sanctuary of court of justice, is unacceptable, and there must be sanction. So it is correctional center that is the rightful, or should be the rightful custodian of Emefiele, where his bail condition should have been perfected and he be released on bail. After that, anybody that is holding anything against him can arrest or rearrest him. But come to see it, he has been detained in the DSS facility for how long now? So what are they having against him again? I am not a fan of Emefiele, but one thing I believe strongly is that if you are not ready to defend the right of your enemy, you can never protect your own. And that is how rule of law works. It doesn't matter who is affected, whether you like the person or not, you must stand up for the person as in accordance with Nigerian rule, laws, and constitution. And that was what violently violated yesterday, because there was an element of violence in the way the correctional centers officials were treated by DSS.
All right. The DSS insisted that it was order from above, for them to be in charge of Emefiele. Now, I'd like to ask you that, what does this speak to in terms of our democracy and rule? You've mentioned that, but I would like you to really expatiate more on that.
If it's order from above, that means that we don't have democracy. It's pure tyranny. It's tyranny. If court should give judgment and somebody else will overrule it, that is banana republic. It doesn't happen in democracy. It shouldn't be practiced. It shouldn't be tolerated. It shouldn't be accepted. It's not a standard for measuring democracy. Democracy tries on three triples. And I mean rule of law particularly, which is supremacy of law. That means that DSS is saying that it's superior to Nigerian law. Equality before law and civil liberty. All the three strands of rule of law were violated yesterday.
All right. Like you rightly mentioned, this is not the first time we're seeing a court order being disobeyed. Now, what is the hope for the common man who sees the court as the last hope?
Well, I don't know the hope for the common man, because one, even can common man get access to justice, access to the court in the first place? To access court, in order to ascertain your rights, you need to have money. But common man is being impoverished today. So access to justice for common man is not in Nigeria. So there's no hope for common man. It's only when they commit crime, the common man is taken to court. When his right or her right is breached, they don't have access. So it's terrible. Nobody stands for common man. If this could even happen to Emefiele, who was a CBN governor, then you can imagine what will happen to a common man that has nobody to support him, that you don't even know whether he's in court. So see this now, because it's somebody that we were interested in his case, particularly that Nigerians that suffer under him during the Naira redesign policy. So Emefiele was equally guilty in the sense that he did not obey court law when he was in power as CBN governor, but that should not be the measure we are going to give to him as a citizen. Since we refuse to punish him for that, then we should give him what is due for him according to law, according to constitution, according to what we call the dignity of his person as enshrined under the fundamental human rights of Nigerian constitution. So that was not afforded him yesterday, and his detention was not even at the impulse of DSS. It was because he went to court to assert his fundamental human rights.
All right. One of the things that was addressed when the new service chiefs were to resume office was that there will be synergy and interagency collaboration. But what we have seen in Emefiele's case is otherwise. I would like you to speak to that.
Nothing will change. Nothing has changed. The country, look, the direction of this president is not clear. I don't think they take his words serious, because he mentioned this when in his first address to the nation, that under his watch and under him, there will be no violation of human rights. And we have seen it repeatedly. Look, it doesn't. Bawa is still in the custody of EFCC chairman, is still there, and many other Nigerians that we don't even know. As the president taking his time to look through this institution and know why people are being detained, demanding report of why fundamental human rights of persons in Nigerians are being breached, with impunity, with arrogance, and with feelings of being megalomania, intoxicated with power. So we are not there. We are not going to count on that until we begin to see. It's not what you hide. People, fundamental human rights is enshrined in Nigeria, chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution. So we know it when we see one. We equally know it when they have been breached. And we must begin to raise our voices now. Because if it happens to Catholic and you don't talk, it will happen to Muslim and nobody will talk. It will happen to Anglican, nobody will talk. It will happen to a poor man, nobody will talk. So we shouldn't find our voices when it happens to rich man again. So it will get to a point that it will happen to DSS. Nobody will be there to talk for them. Their body stay in power for a long time. Even the DG of DSS, this thing can happen to him tomorrow. So all this bragado, bringing Nigeria to odium, bringing Nigeria to shame because of this unsavory practices of institution and agency that is connected with justice administration system is appalling and unacceptable. So we should look at a way of correcting this error. We can't continue like this as a nation and as a people. It decimates us. It reduces our value in the committee of nation. It doesn't give glory to us. There is nobody that is doing power show anywhere again. except those who are conducting magic. And if we continue to exist like this and everything, then we don't deserve to be among committee of humanity that should uphold the standard of what connotes humanity itself. So it's unacceptable that we should continue in this trajectory.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about this now. What's your take on the president's delay in the list of ministerial nominees? And from what we heard yesterday, we heard that by virtue of speculation that the president had gone to change some names on the list, and there are a little bit of like some infighting in the APC, and some people have even threatened that they will leave the party if the president does not put their name there because of the kind of support that they gave during his presidential bid. What's your take?
Well, it's at the point of almost breaching the Constitution of the Federal Republic, because it's expected to appoint his minister within 60 days. Appointment means that those that are nominated has been designated, those that have been designated has been sworn in as Minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria. For God's sake, Tinubu was elected almost 59 days ago. And he has a window for 1 day now. Is it that same 1 day they are going to use to unveil the list of the minister? Is it 1 day they are going to use to screen the minister? Is it 1 day that is going to swear in the minister so that the process of appointment is completed? This is somebody that people are saying that is hitting the ground running. Well, if he's hitting the ground at all, maybe he's running to wrong direction. Because this is the first litmus test of his administration. Appointment of somebody that will work with you, drive your policy, and that person, and it's within your power to do for 60 days, and you have not touched that. That means that it's following the same path of Buhari. If we had allowed him, if there is no law as it exists today, maybe he will have waited for 6 months like Buhari did. And at the end of the day, it was an anticlimax. The type and the quality of people that were brought in and the output of their effort brought Nigeria to its knee, to extreme poverty, in which 133 million Nigeria were trapped, according to the report of MBS. So it is the same trajectory we are witnessing today. And we have not, tomorrow I think tomorrow is the last day. Then I don't see how he has fulfilled the law. Because appointment is not sending names to the Senate. Appointments means you have selected them, you have screened them, the names are ready, you send it to the Senate, they have interrogated them or screened them and accepted them as fit to occupy position of ministers of the Federal Republic. So I don't know how he is going to meet those conditions within the remaining 1 day. So it's a terrible violation of law and a reversal of investment of hope in him by those who are doubting that he's going to hit the ground running.
All right, moving on now. The Senate has asked the federal government as a matter of urgency to intervene and halt the proposed electricity tariff by the 11 distribution companies in the country. Now, in a time where Nigerians feel suffocated by the untold hardship, how do you react?
These people don't care. They don't give a hoot about what become of your situation as Nigerians. They don't care. They don't care about your standard of living, about your condition of living, about the status of poverty. They don't even care about the image of Nigeria becoming the face of poverty globally. So they don't care. They can impose taxes and everything. What are they doing with that? Do we even get the electricity in the first place? But the government, they are following what the government is doing now. The private sector, they have invested up in, is following this footstep of government, that increase the price of energy without any plan on the ground for its consequences to be managed. So they are following the footstep of anybody is doing what he likes in this country. We just spoke about what happened between correctional center and DSS. Everybody has become authority unto itself in this country. No regulatory agency is serious. The government doesn't care. So the people are just, if they wait, you can wake up tomorrow and somebody else will say that they are increasing even your, or they are taxing the air you are breathing. So they just wake up and this money don't get to impact Nigeria. We pay for darkness for how long? Are we holding them accountable? And that is what we should even say about Nigerians today. I always say it. When you have citizenry that is very, very passive and inactive, all this type of thing before them, JP Quran has put it in a very apt way that it is the fate of the indolent to have their rights becoming prey to the active. The condition upon which God has given liberty to man is eternal vigilance. Nigerians are not vigilant. Nigerians don't care what their leaders do to them. I think they have accepted fate and they don't care being treated as animal without consultation and everything. Because we are supposed to be engaging government. That is the oil democracy. Engaging your leaders, engaging the government so that you can get good governance. You don't vote and go and sit down. And because somebody is from your tribe and everything, the pressure must be put on government. You can never have good governance if you don't put pressure on your government, if you don't engage that government, and if you don't continue to define the boundaries of tolerance to such government, and make sure that you have a government that is afraid of the people. That is the truest definition of democracy. And not people that are afraid of their government. Nigerians are afraid of their government. And that should never be position of thing.
All right.
That should never be position.
All right. Let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mr. is speaking. He said, "Dear, you promised to wash all my dirty clothes before I came back, but they are untouched." And Mrs. replies, says, "I couldn't find the $100 note you said you forgot in one of your pockets."
Well, $100 is good. But even if the woman had wanted to do that, was there any money to buy? We should prioritize money over care. We are as husband and as family, we are there to care for each other. But let me equally tell the man, it is not strict censor that it's woman alone that should wash clothes. We can share responsibility and understand ourselves within the context of what life has thrown onto us as a family. So when we help one another, understand one another, why things could not be done, and encourage one another or each other to support ourselves. So I think that should be the thought for today for Mr. and Mrs. So without $10,000, $100, she won't wash the clothes. After they have agreed that she will wash it. So our love should not be money determined. We should express it in good way. Money will come, and of course we will live happier life together. So I wish them well. The husband should understand that, and when going next tomorrow, he should not forget to leave the $100 behind too, so that the wife can be happy washing his clothes.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Agbero Jigbe, Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Thank you for sharing your thought with us this morning.
It's a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To find out up-to-date stories, go to our website, www.vanguardindia.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.